Hey, what is up, guys? Flex Media here, bringing you yet another video on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. Alright, so number one, I do want to apologize right off the bat. Your boy, Flex is not feeling too well. It's not Corona, just every single changing of the seasons. My sinuses act like I don't live in, in Michigan, so it's just like, oh yeah, great, So I've got something going on up there, but nothing to be too concerned about. I will be all right. Now, this team you're seeing here is probably, I would say, the most ideal World Tournament team that you can run. You could maybe swap out Omega Shenron for someone else. Anyone from the full power team that's providing you ki. Or you could even put like, Golden Frieza, like Tech Golden Frieza to like tank damage or something like that. That would probably save you on some King Yemas and Ghost Ushers and such. So that would probably be a good idea for you. But yeah, you could also run like a variant of Pure Saiyans and have a lot of these same units on here. So like you could use, realistically the Transforming Vegeta or the Evolution Blue Vegeta, and then run, both Broly's and Turles, and then you're good to go, right? And then you run, of course, Jaco and Chaozu, who, if you are not aware, they have a 100% chance to stun when they come onto the rotation. So again, this is probably the ideal team. There is another variant you could run. If you have STR Cooler, I think it would be a solid choice if you ran Transformation Boost, / Conquest of Terror. So Cooler, assuming that you're on Conquest of Terror, in addition to being on Transformation Boost, he's going to provide you ki and 50%, 2 ki and then 50% attack and defense. So like, if I ran Transformation Boost with Cooler, he's going to be providing that support to, like, let's just say the AoE, Agility Frieza, the Namek Saga Frieza. And then the second form Frieza is also on Conquest of Terror. And then, I don't know, you could run any other, you could run, like, at that point you could run Fizz Broly. He doesn't really need the key support. So, and then there you go. And then you run, Jaco and Chaozu, and there, bada bing, bada boom, you got a really good Transformation Boost team as well. So, I wouldn't recommend doing it with STR Boo. STR Boo is just he's just such a turd, man. He's just truly like a liability. I guess maybe if you have him rainbowed or something. And then the other thing is a lot of time in the World Tournament, if you're careful, you're going to be avoiding all damage. So if you get lucky with the rotations and you have Jaco on one rotation, Chaozu on the next rotation, oftentimes you're good to go, right? The fights are basically never going to go past 2 rounds. Very, very rarely, on the rare occasion you get completely screwed for ki. It is possible because you run out of ki up items. But that's very, very rare. Like right here, we could get screwed over because we have Jaco and Chaozu on the same rotation. So that is unfortunate. So we're wasting the stunning abilities of one of them, and they're just going to, it's going to go by the wayside. So they are obviously very, very important to have on the team. However, what I would say is I would recommend it, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but like if you have, let's just say you want to grind the World Tournament, you want to get your 30 million points and all of that, and you have, I don't know, like 1,000 Ghost Ushers or something like that. If you've been saving them up, if you never use Ghost Ushers, I would almost recommend not bringing Jaco and Chaozu, simply because, they bring down the total team cost. So when your team cost is higher, you get more points per round, so that would mean you have to get less victories. If you want to get your 30 million points with this current team, I'm going to need to get, depending on what I do in between, like within the rounds and stuff, I'm going to need probably, I don't know, 45 wins or something like that to get my 30 million points. And it's because the team cost is so low with Jaco and Chaozu, but of course they're saving me big time on Ghost Ushers and King Yemas. So for me it's worth it because I only have about 175, 180 Ghost Ushers, something like that. And I do like to, I actually have been saving them up for a while because I was down to like like under 50 or something like that, which is it's not a very comfortable position to be in, you know, considering I use those for Super Battle Road and such too. So I mean, they're important to have. You know, it's a very, very, very good item, of course, but I have been saving them for the World Tournament, but I only use them in emergencies, as you will see. It's very rare that I'm going to need to use one, but again, on occasion, like on this team, where I'm not going to have a guaranteed AoE attacker in every single rotation, so it is possible that in one rotation I could get, let's just say I get Turles, Omega Shenron, and then Jocko or Chaozu, and then all of a sudden, like, well, I got to go another round, so it's possible that I have to use them, but it's rare. It's an emergency sitch. So right here, we're in a position where I'm not even trying to mess around. I forget what item I end up using here. It's either a Double King Yema or it's going to be a Ghost Usher. I think, yeah, so we're going to go with the Double King Yema. You know, I will also say you never want to put yourself in a position where you're going to get hit full force. So you have to, at the very least, use one King Yema. And right here, with me leading off Broly, if the STR Broly on the other team would super attack, I think we may survive because we have Omega Shenron on rotation. But it's tough to say. We could still die because they can hit you. If they hit you full force with a super attack, they're gonna hit you for like 500k or something insane. They will for sure kill you. And they'll hit you like 80k for normals, like ridiculous amounts. You know, particularly on times 30. So if you're not running times 30, you know, then there's that. But I would recommend, if you can, then run times 30. You're not going to be able to grind it fast enough at times 20. You'll have to get like, oh my god, like, you know, 60 wins or something like that to beat it at times 20, which is just a lot. I mean, if you've ever run the World Tournament, I mean, okay, so in terms of total hours of grinding, I was trying to do the math, and it's kind of tough to say. Any particular round, so like preliminary takes the longest for sure. So preliminary through the final round, you know, I think it's probably going to take you anywhere between 10 and, you know, 15 minutes on the very high end. Probably more like 10 to 12 minutes or something like that. So if you have to get 40 wins, let's just say 40 wins. If you get 40 wins at 10 minutes apiece, that's 400 minutes. And that's strictly running the World Tournament. That doesn't take into account the little, you know, the time in between and all of those things. And of course, you'll need to take breaks and stuff. So I'm going to say if you want your 30 million points, you know, you're probably going to be running it for 5 hours. About a solid 5 hours of grinding, you should be able to get your 30 million points. That, again, that's a pretty rough estimate. Let me guys know what your experience is. But before this video ends, you know, one thing I did want to point out or mention is how I would fix the World Tournament and make it at least a little bit more tolerable. Because I feel like the number one complaint, like, is pretty obvious. It's just boring, right? Now, I don't know that there's any way to make it not boring. When you run the same event over and over and over and over, I mean, if you're grinding it hard, you're getting well over 100 plus wins. You know what I mean? If you don't stop grinding all weekend. So, you know, you're doing, you know, essentially, I don't know, like, you know, 400 or 500, you know, rounds. I mean, that's crazy, right? Crazy. So, the way I think it would be better. So if you guys are familiar with like old school Mortal Kombat, I would make it in the way where you're basically essentially running the ladder, or it's like a tower, and you get to choose your difficulty all the way from novice all the way up to champion. Now, you could extrapolate this, and instead of just having 4 different difficulties, you could have like 10 different difficulties or something like that. Or you could be like, you know, if I want to run novice, when I get to the top of the tower, you know, when you'd fight, was it Shao Kahn? Is that who you fight at the very end? You fight Goro and then Shao Kahn. So like, you know, when you get to the very top on novice, it would be like the equivalent of times 20 difficulty. And then you could say have, you know, 4 more difficulties And then on like the second tower, you could have it up to times 30. And then on the third tower, you could have it times 40 and times 50. And then, you know, if you want to be crazy, you can go times 60. I think that that would be a really cool way to sort of, at the very least, I feel like take out the worst elements of the World Tournament, and that's chasing the AI around the board. That can be hella uber annoying. So I would really like that. And then, you know, like the AI just itself, you know, they oftentimes they want to run away from you. It also takes the preliminary out, completely out, because you're always just going to be facing one opponent at a time. And you would still have it like this, where you know, it's against, you know, a bunch of opponents. So, you know, the same units would be relevant and stuff like that you would want to use. So you've taken out the preliminary, you've taken out the chasing around the AI all over the board, and then I think the third thing that it takes away is this grinding up from times 2 all the way to times 30. Essentially, you could just have your choice of starting. If you want to be crazy, you can just start at times 60. And of course, on the very last, let's just say like the champion board, you know, that's what I'm going to call it, champion. On the, you know, the 5th difficulty, you start, you know, and then you work your way up to times 60. So let's say it starts at times 30, and then it just progressively gets harder as you climb the tower, and you can rack up more points that way. But anyway, guys, let me know in the comments below how you would fix the World Tournament. It needs a complete revamp, in my opinion. But smash the like button if you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing if you're new, and I'll catch all of you in the next one. Later.